And there we are live. Okay. All right. Let's see who pops in here then. Who we've got a show for. All right. Hello, everybody. Right. Piling in already. Okay. Good. Pretty early, a couple of minutes early. I just thought I would get it on there, make sure the camera was working and everything. If everybody's coming in and want to pop in the chat and just let me know that you can hear me well and that everything's working correctly. Hi there, Zoe. How are you doing? I. Good evening. Very good. Sound is clear. Excellent. All good. Lovely job. Okay, then. Just remember, if you're coming in from Facebook, we've got Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. But if you're on Facebook, if you don't put your name in, I don't know how to do it, but you know it only comes up with Facebook user. I can't see the actual name there. Okay. Hammy 1872. Hi from Ayrshire. I love Ayrshire. Been up there many a time. Petri, how are you doing? You okay? Hiya, Marie. Hey, Barbara, how are you doing? Sunny West. Is it warm down in Wembury now? It's nice and sunny up here. It's not too bad, I suppose, but it's pretty windy. Bit of a chilly wind. Hiya, Mick. But yeah, all good. Hiya, Sharon. Sharon on Facebook. It certainly is. Okay. Plenty of time for waiting for people to come on anyway. It's only, where are we? What time is it? Yeah, it's not even 1:30 yet, you know. So, sunny but cool wind. Yeah, it's like that here. It's pretty windy right on the coast. But at least, hiya, Nitty. Nitty, yeah. I was trying to, read your sentence at the same time. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Good to see everybody coming in. We had a nice, uneventful week this week, so that was a pleasure. Get back to more normality, less craziness. Lovely there in Kent, is it? Nice and warm. Nice summery day. Hey, Bob. Yeah, it was great last weekend. Great to see you, man. Yeah, I can't believe that's a week gone. It's just flowing over. Like we said, time is just speeding up ridiculously. From Newcastle, lovely. But yeah, then it just flew past that week, didn't it, Bob? Great weekend, though. Excellent. And I'm glad you got back safe and everything. That's cool. Yeah. So I had a busy week, even though I didn't have any excitement, you know, from Leighton Buzzard and Luton Town, or near Luton Town. Hey, Joshua. Yeah. What's that? Moo-ha. Hello. Hey, Martin. Ready with a paint. Oh, well, there you go. Sonny Leeds, yeah? Patsy. Hi, Patsy. Or Wayne, whichever one in it. So, on Wednesday, I went through to Newcastle. I was doing a presentation in Newcastle. I'm going to go over it again today. Everybody really enjoyed it. It's all hiya, Betty. Hi, everybody. Another one from Ayrshire. Look, there you go. We're getting all the northern people coming in, all the Scottish people coming in. We're gonna have a posh do tonight. Seeking truths. Hiya, Mucka. Hello, Debbie. Hiya, Debbie. Good. And Betty. Hi. How are you doing? Oh, on the Scottish border as well. We're all up, isn't it? It's a northern show tonight. Oh, look, see, you've spoiled it now, coming in from Essex. Took the tone right down. Concert as well. We are posh mush. All right, no more. Hello. Hiya, Andy. London. Totally spoil it now. That's definitely not up north. All right, so like I said, I was like done this presentation on I think Wednesday, I think. You know, and everybody enjoyed it. So I'm going to go over it again and go a little bit more into it and read some little bits like from a couple of books that I've been reading online, and also like this book here. From the Isle of Wight as well. Oh, well, there you go. I like it there, you know, sailed around it loads and loads of times. Can't tell what I did, I know. But this book, if you ever get a Fruit from a Poisonous Tree by Malaine Stamper. And there, look, how do you get that? Just got to get it away from the light. Oh man, come on, stop shining on it. Yeah, it's terrible, that. There you go. Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. Okay. This is really going on about the banking frauds and everything, the banking system, and the courts, the banking system and the courts, and obviously how they work together and the scam of it together. This guy, what's his name again? Malaine Stamper, who wrote the book. He's on the back there. Look, there he is, onto there. I'm sure he said he was an attorney or something like that. But he, you know, I think he got so sick of knowing the actual the corruption of it that he just had to write a book. He'd said, you know, I was leading a relatively, like, you know, comfortable life. I didn't need to fight or argue with anybody, but it was just really wearing him out, seeing all the corruption and everything like that. So it's a good book. Someone had mentioned it to me. I think it was Anne, and mentioned it to me. So, you know, I got the book, started it. It's pretty good. You know, it's just obviously explaining what we know anyway for the corruption and the scam of it all. But, you know, it's good to read it from a different. It's all American, but, like, you know, whatever has gone on in the United States, it starts here. You know, it starts here before, and it flows over to the West. Hiya, Elena. You know, so everything that you can read there, although they're talking about the Federal Reserve and they're talking about the what is it that they've got, the High Court that they do have, you know, it's all coming from the City of London. It's where all flowing out of the cabal, the heart of the cabal there, you know, and it's really interesting. So, and the other one, I'll tell you, let me go and have a check to see where it is and who it was. No, it's on this one, maybe. Yeah. Right. What page am I on? 58. So I'll cut back. See what it's called. Top secret bankers manual. This is actually supposed to be for bankers only. And this, where's the name of the guy? See if we can get it. Is it not on there? Right. Can't see his name. Something like Thomas Schaff. Okay. So if you get a chance to Google that name, Thomas Schaff, I think it's SCHAFFE, maybe, something like that. And that's like a banking, what do you call it, book there, all the banker's manual, telling you about how it's all like scammed from the beginning. Hiya, the truth is sovereign. Hello there. It's good to see everybody coming on. Look, 59 on there. Good. So we're going to get started in a minute. But like that book I've just said online, Google the name, Thomas Schaff. I'm sure it's Thomas Schaff. And then that other book there I've just showed you as well. So two of them, very similar actually. That one, the online one, it's very good if you want to try and get some help if you're fighting the mortgages or anything like that. It's got some brilliant like strategies and questions to put towards the actual banks if you want to try and get them like close it down. Okay, so hi Elisa, hi Caramel, good to see you. So like read that book there. Now if you have a look at the mortgage lien that Michael Obanisia has, you know, they've got some really good questions and everything, the way that he's got it set out to actually challenge the mortgage. But here, this book, this Thomas Schaff, he actually wrote this manual for people to challenge the mortgages in the United States. And a lot of them were winning and getting their mortgages closed down, all right, getting them completely closed down. And then what he was saying was, though, like, once you had a group of people who had actually been successful and closed the mortgage down, they changed the rules, you know, so that they couldn't use the same questions to actually get the same results. So you just got to be a little bit clever or a little bit careful when you're doing things. You know, so if there's something that's been around a long time and it's been used a lot, what he was saying, this Thomas Schaff, I think they called him Tom, or he called himself Tom. You know, they don't always work the same for everybody. A lot of people, like you've done, just copied what was done and it was successful, went straight in there. They even had a big group. I can't remember. It wasn't a massive group. It was maybe between 15 and 18. And they all went and said exactly the same thing, challenged the mortgage in exactly the same way. And it was something like the first 6 or 7 won, and then no one else got exactly the same thing that they had done, and no one else actually got a win and cancelled the mortgage out. So it was all about attacking the mortgage, all about making them prove where this came from. So we know that the credit comes from you or us when we actually do the form to put it in for a loan or a mortgage or whatever it is. You know, it doesn't come from the bank, so they can't show their audited accounts to see where the money came from, because they didn't have any money in there in the first place. You created the money by signing the promissory note, which they say is what do you call it, the application form, where it's not, it's actually a financial instrument. So we're going to go over a little bit about that on here anyway. Okay, so right, it's after past now. We've got plenty of people on, so we'll crack on then. Okay, thank you very much for coming along. I hope you're going to enjoy the Friday. This is my Friday night out. So I can help people, educate people, and keep myself occupied at the same time. Okay, so then let's crack on. So we've got this sentence up. This is obviously just looking at, you know, what we're talking about, the bankers themselves, you know, and how greedy that they are. Hang on 2 seconds. Help the dog. Come on, in you go. Got the boxer dog coming to see us. She wants a drink, I think. Okay, so you got Matthew 6:24. No man can serve 2 masters, for either, oh, I forgot the R. Okay, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon is obviously greed. It's the money monster. Be virtuous or greedy. Okay, so we're talking a lot tonight about like the banks and the banksters, and the name game, and how they actually con us with the name game to make us the debtor, right? When in reality we are the creditor. Okay, so that's what it's going to be about tonight then, folks. Some of it you've probably heard before, some of it I've gone over before. This is going to be a slightly different way, so hopefully we're going to educate everybody on there. All right. Oh, look, see, we've got Heidi from Ontario. That's cool. Excellent. All right. Very good. Okay, so the name game, we're talking about your name, your surname specifically. Everything that's befallen the United States, right? That's why I had said it before, reading that book with Thomas Schaff, and also Fruit from a Poisonous Tree by Malayan Stamper. It's instigated by the Crown Corporation. It doesn't matter whereabouts in the world it is or what's happening on now, but it was started by the Crown Corporation. Now, we have to remember, and I'm always telling you about private, going in the private, getting the private trust, setting up the private members association. Why? Because everything needs to be private. All right. The Crown Corporation, it's an unincorporated corporation. That means it's not limited. All right. You're incorporated, you're limited. You're unincorporated, you're not limited. Why are they not limited? Because they are private. All right. And the bar itself, the British Accredited Registry, it is a private association. So you have to be private when you go in and you actually swear contracts, individual contracts on a private basis, member to member, and the association to member as well. All right. So this is why this is so important. This is why I keep telling people and keep going over it. Okay. So everything has to be private. We have to fight very hard to try and pull our privacy back. We've just given it away so easily, so that all of our data is getting harvested and collected all the time. And you know it. I don't know where there's a mobile phone, right? I've got mine switched off 99% of the time, and we hide it in the garage when we're not actually using it. When we're going to bed or anything, put it in the garage. I don't want it anywhere near me. So I don't have the television on, even though I have one. I only have it for YouTube. All right. So we try and stay away from that type of electronics, because they're tracking you wherever you go. So is this, I know that, but we have to speak to each other somehow, don't we? Okay. So let's go back to the presentation. Slavery. Slavery itself was abolished in 1833. Okay. So we still are in slavery though, but you can only live in servitude if you volunteer yourself for it. Right. So you volunteer yourself into this slave culture. You do. All right. But you don't realize how you're doing it. So how do you do it? Now, listen carefully to what I'm saying, because it might look like you know what I'm going to say, but honestly, you might not. Okay, so we've got about the birth registration. Okay, it's BERTH. That's the maritime. That's the birthing of the ship. Okay, right. But the Births and Deaths Registration Act, 1953. This is really important. Obviously, I'm talking about the UK now. Right, the Act 1953. That's when it come in. Now we need to concentrate on the words, how it's actually said. So, right, they're saying the birth of every child born in England and Wales shall be registered. Okay, I'll say it again. The birth of every child, born in England and Wales shall be registered. Can you hear what I'm saying? All right. We do not register our sons and daughters, right? We only register the event. They're only talking about the event. It's a historical fact, okay? Like they said, the birth of every child born in England and Wales shall be registered. It doesn't say every child shall be registered, only the birth, only the actual event, okay? Hi, Mary. So it's only the event that's actually getting recorded and registered, not the child. All right. Does that make sense? This is a trick. This is how they're tricking us. Okay. So we do not register our sons and daughters, only the event. It's a historical fact. Okay. Now, once you've actually been born, your parents have got 42 days to actually register you. Register the event, I should say. All right. Now, also the name on the registration, it's not you or your name. Okay. It's the name by which it was registered. This is how it's written in the Act. The name by which it was registered. It was registered. So it's the event that's registered with this name, not the child and not their name, not you and not your name. All right. Do you understand? No, you don't. Do you comprehend? Do you get it? Okay. So this is all tricks with words. They put these acts together to make them confusing. You can't understand them. You think one thing's happened when actually something completely different's happened. So we have to realize that we are not getting registered and owned. It's actually the event that's getting registered. All right, very clever, really, when you think about it. So the key phrase is what they trick us with. Okay, registration of the birth, registration of the birth, and the name by which it was registered. It's actually telling you the registration of the birth. So they're not saying anything about the actual living being, the son or the daughter, the boy or the girl, right? The name by which it being the birth was registered. So it is not the name of the boy or the girl. Okay, very clever with words. It's all spellology, it's all witchcraft, right? And they're just doing it to confuse you, and then you think, you know, that you've actually given everything away. Yeah, very clever, isn't it, really? Okay, so it's not the child that is named, but the actual event. It's the event of the birth. All right, how's about that then? Right? Yeah, so we're believing, that's right. I am. So, you know, believing that we have been registered. Okay. So the it's all tricks, exactly. All tricks, all words, trying to confuse us with the words. Okay. So when a clown clown in a costume, they ask you for a name, the most accurate actual answer would be the name of the event of my birth is my giving name. All right. Okay, Peter, that's mine, obviously. Okay, but Wilson is the name of the event. It is not a name, it is a thing. It is a thing, right? It's not a name, it's actually a thing, right? So, I mean, that would be the reality. What is your name? Well, my name is Peter. That was the name that was given, right? The actual name that they're looking for, the full name, the whole thing, that's actually the registration of an event. And it's actually not even anything to do with I. Okay? I. That's the thing. Okay? So completely and utterly trying to trick you. So what they've been, and just imagine how this is done over the years of actually, I'm going to go over it in a little bit anyway, but it's all of the indoctrination that's been put through to put people into this state. All right. So now, once they've actually done and they've registered the birth, they then convert the birth certificate. Okay, a certificate copy of a certified copy of an entry that goes into it. It's only a certified copy of an entry. It's not like what you would class as a birth certificate. You don't necessarily have to go and run around trying to claim your birth certificate. Everyone's trying to cash in on this birth certificate. It's not really the way to be doing things, in my opinion. Okay, so from a reality to a being, born to an event on paper, right? So what we are a reality, we are a being, but then they're going to make it born, an event on paper, a 2D legal fiction persona. It's a persona, and that's the word that they actually use. A 2D means flat, like this. It's written on paper. Legal fiction persona. So what is a persona? A persona is when you're doing an act, right? Like you're doing it in a play or in a film or anything like that. So a persona is what is used to put into a play for an act. It's not real. It's not you. Like they say, oh, what is the persona? Right? So the plays that you used to do from ancient Rome and ancient Greece, a persona was also known as a mask wearer. A mask wearer. All right, very, very, very clever. But what these masks that they used to do, they used to get a photograph. Say that you were in the play of, let's just say, Julius Caesar. So they would actually do a picture of Julius Caesar and paint the picture on this mask. So you would wear the mask of Julius Caesar. Now, if you imagine the amphitheaters that they used to be in, they didn't have microphones or anything like that. So what they would do is they would make the voice, make the mouthpiece like a kind of a shape of a megaphone, so it would like get the voice out there. So they would wear this mask, and then there would be this mouthpiece over it, so it could project the voice out to the crowds in these amphitheaters in ancient Rome and ancient Greece. But that's what a persona is, or a person, as we have it now. It's a mask wearer. So that's why all these persons that all these acts and statutes actually are for, because they're not for man, they're not for woman, they're only for a person. And you know who they all are, you know who the persons are, because they're all wearing masks. They're all sitting in the car on their own wearing a mask. You know it, don't you? Okay. So on we go. Okay, so now we have the legal fiction, right? So you'll know this a little bit, but what I want you to do is to think about what I just told you before about them registering the actual event. It's not you, it's not us, and the name that they're looking for, it's not you, it's not us, all right? They've done an event and they've done the name of the event, not the boy or girl, not the living being, okay? So now you've got your legal fiction, a person or the name of the estate. The name of the estate. That's exactly what it is, you see. You were born with your minor estate. So have you ever heard of probate? What is probate? Well, when somebody dies, all of their estate goes into probate. In other words, the government take it, and then you have to go and pay to have someone sort it out. Now, I've done this not that long ago, a couple of years ago, and I did all the probate myself. I actually did all the legal work myself. So I had to pay the probate office. The probate office costs about, can't remember, but it was between £200 and £300. It wasn't a massive amount of money. For the solicitor, right, that had the will that I actually took. Hi, Dimeball, how are you doing? All right, up there is sunny Spain. It's definitely going to be warmer than it is here. A lot more sunshine there. So when I was doing, the solicitor that wanted to do it was wanting $2,500 to $3,000. So it cost me less than $300 to do all the paperwork and the probate. And it's not rocket science. It's, you know, you've got to read, and you've got to do it all slowly and carefully, all right, but it can be done, okay? So an estate goes into probate when someone passes on, when someone dies. So this is the birth certificate, okay? The birth certificate puts you into probate. So in reality, because it's given you an estate by the birth certificate of the legal fiction, it's actually a death certificate, really, because it puts you into an estate in probate. So it's actually a death certificate rather than a birth certificate. That is the formation of an estate. Okay? Very clever, very conniving, all right? Okay, so then, so there is an estate. So who owns that estate? Who owns the estate, and who is liable for it on the birth certificate? All right, so you have an estate, so who owns it? Who's liable for it? So what we need to do, a certificate itself, the word certificate will actually explain the certificate. So it says a paper establishing an ownership claim. So a certificate establishes ownership or claim of ownership anyway. So who owns that? Who owns that? So the Crown copyright, it's actually got that written on there. So it says Crown copyright on all of the birth certificates. So if it's got the birth certificates, right, written on there, and it's got Crown copyright, then the maximum of law is all liability rests with the owner. All liability rests with the owner, okay? So if the liability rests with the owner and the Crown copyright is written on the birth certificate, then why are you paying the fines? All right? You shouldn't be paying the fines. How you doing, Nick? You all right? Okay. Now then. So all liability rests with the owner, Crown Corporation. I keep changing the pen, so it might look a little bit different color. It's because I kept running out of ink, so I've just had to go and buy some new pens. And I'm also trying not to flick the paper over too quick because it kept on making it go out of focus, didn't it, last week? So then, so if we do not claim to own the estate or the property of the state as ours, then we can't have liability imposed upon us. This is what I was talking about when people are trying to claim the birth certificate and cash in on the birth certificate. If you're saying it's yours and you want to cash in on it, then you are actually going to be imposed the liability upon. But just let the owners have the liability, which is the Crown Corporation. Let them have the liability, because then you're not going to be having to pay the fines. So we have to go back on the analysis of it, right? What we've actually been trying to do. Okay, so if you're actually doing it, that would be slavery. If you're actually getting the liability imposed on you, then that would be slavery. And like we said, that was forbidden, wasn't it? Okay, in 1833. Okay, so here's a trick that they play. The illusion by the magicians. It's all magic and they're playing it. Sleight of hand. So what they do is they're going to hide the pen in one hand and make you look at the other hand. Okay, so when a clown asks your name, but you identify as a name on the birth certificate without stating the fact that you are a man or a woman, okay, and they assume and presume that you agree to be accessory property. So you're agreeing to be this accessory property, okay? All right. Okay, you get that? Hi, Dwayne, how you doing? Okay, then there we go. All right, so you're agreeing to be accessory property. So you just volunteered to be Crown property, right? You're volunteering it by this accessio cedit principali. Accessio cedit principali, okay? An accessory attached to a principal becomes the property of the owner of the principal, right? Principal is name of certificate owner of principal is the Crown Corporation. Okay, accessory is the man who made the voluntary attachment. Okay, so you're actually putting yourself in as property of the Crown Corporation by claiming that name. When you claim that name, you understand what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So when you're trying to actually claim that name, you're trying to claim that birth certificate, you're trying to cash in on that birth certificate, you're actually declaring yourself as property of the Crown Corporation. Hi, Elizabeth, how you doing? So that's, you've got to rethink this whole thing, how you've actually been doing it. So when you're agreeing to be the birth certificate name, you are now property of the Crown. You've actually given yourself to be property of the Crown. So that's including your body, your home, your labor. And with your labor, right, that means that it'll be your income. So that's why you're going to get taxed on your income. And this is a voluntary thing, but you're accidentally volunteering for it. All right. And all your belongings to your master. Everything belongs now to your master, right? Your master. Okay. What you are allowed to keep is benefits or privileges. And literally, the paying tax is a benefit and a privilege on your income. So you have no rights. You haven't got any rights. Okay? That doesn't sound very good, does it? All right. So the illusion of freedom. The whole thing is set up to, they don't want you to actually realize that you're actually 100% in slavery. So they put this illusion of freedom over for us. So, they call it the benefits, the income, right? So that they're going to actually tax your income. So the tax, this is the scam of it. The tax pays for the benefits of your fellow man. That's what they always say, isn't it? Well, you have to pay a tax because then the tax is going to help run the country, right? Such as like the schools and the roads and the hospitals. We know for a fact that is just simply not true. It's got absolutely nothing to do with that. Okay, so we know that taxes paid pays the interest to the actual bondholders. We are the collateral for all of the loans that the governments take from the central banks. That is the bondholders, the central banks. So that we don't pay for any of this. Our set of KV trusts pay for the roads. We've paid for the roads with our trusts. Okay, our minor estates, the schools and the hospitals. That's already paid for by us. Us paying the tax again, all right, that does not pay for all that. You're not looking after your fellow man by being taxed to death. Yeah? That is the fool. So we're going to go back to the birth certificate registration, okay? The birth certificate registration, that obliges us to the national debt of the country. That's just what I was just saying before, the bondholders. So we're obliging ourselves now. We are the collateral, literally, to the central banks. So the government, they borrow the fiat currency at interest as well, at interest, okay? And the tax pays the interest. So whatever you pay on the taxes, right, that just goes to pay the interest. But, we'll go over that again in a little while. But that is how we're actually taxed in there. And this is how you tied it through the birth certificate to the central banks, because they're always borrowing that fiat. The fiat, which is fake, right? The fiat, when if you look on the Black's Law Dictionary, it's fake. It means fake, okay? So why do we as man or woman so easily identify with this fictional piece of paper? This is just the indoctrination that we all go through, isn't it? Everything is the indoctrination. So where do we get the indoctrination with? Well, obviously when we're born, and we're going to get it from our parents. That's going to be our first taste of it, is from the parents. But it's not their fault, because they've just gone through the same thing because of their parents. And it's a fact, they don't know that. They're just actually they're repeating what they are told and they are taught. So we're actually just going to keep going over. So then the next thing you do is when you're going to go in your school and you're going to listen to the register. So how do we listen to the register? So you're going to do it twice a day, I think it is, but definitely I remember it once a day. So then you're going to go in, all right, and you sit down and the teacher's looking at you. They're just like looking at you. You can see you, they know where you are, and they're going to read your name out. And when they read your name out, you've got to either stick your hand up or you've got to say, yes, miss, yes, sir, or something like that. But you have to acknowledge it, okay? So when you're acknowledging it, okay, this is the witchcraft part. This is the words, right? This is the spellology, because everything is about spelling, casting spells. So when they say your name, they're reading that out in full capitals. Just like the clowns in the costumes write it in full capitals, the teachers are reading it out. Now, there can't be any difference in the words when you speak them, but if it's written in capitals or if it's written correctly, but we still acknowledge the fact that it's capitals, not even understanding it, okay? So through the school register. And then that just continues, right? If you continue to volunteer, you're going to always be volunteering yourself. All right, so are we going to keep volunteering ourselves into this slave system? We have to try and stop it, don't we? Okay, so, all right. So there is absolutely no authority that exists that says you are your birth certificate, okay? Only your own consent. You've heard it before. I do not consent. You've been saying it all the time. But it's only your consent that will say that that is your identity. All right. Your signature appears nowhere on your so-called certificate, or in fact on the register. All right. I'm pretty sure that you were all too young to do it. I certainly can't remember mine. I definitely can't remember signing any certificates when I was born. And it's literally hearsay evidence. Oh, look, it's written down there. Okay. They can't say, if somebody says, is that your birth certificate? You cannot say in all truth and honesty, yes, that is mine, because that is pure hearsay evidence. Someone's given you it and said that's your birth certificate, but there's no way in the world you can remember. All right? So, in there, hearsay evidence, that cannot bind you. You are not your birth certificate. So we have to stop pretending, or at least agreeing with them, that it is, and it is us, okay? So it's all about titles. You are getting given titles all the time. So we can only be fooled when we accept the titles, all right? Because the Crown Corporation, they own all the titles, all right? So you've got the clowns in costume, the courts, even the Crown. They only have jurisdiction when you give them it in exchange for the benefits and privileges. So you have to actually accept. You have to accept that and allow them to actually be in charge of you. Now, I know that it's all a trick, and I know how they actually do it. Okay. All right. Hi, David. You okay? How are you doing? But that's what they do. So they fool you into accepting the titles. And once you're accepting the titles, okay, so when I say by title, okay, if you're using your name, so it's Peter or Fred or Ginger, you know, but if you're going in, you're saying I am different, like something different. So like if you're a parent, that is a title. A child is a title. It's not a parent. You're a mother or a father. It's not a child. It's a boy or a girl, a son or a daughter. Okay, so we've got to stop using the titles. We can't be a defendant. We can't be, like a plaintiff, because they are titles. A doctor, it's a title. Teacher, it's a title. We are a man or a woman. That's what we have to be. That's why they're trying to mess about with all of the gender stuff and everything like that, because they don't want you to be a man or a woman. If you're not going to stand as a man or a woman, then you have no rights or inalienable rights under the Creator, and we have to stand under the Creator. Okay, cool, right. So what you are all right, a man or a woman. That's all you have to be. You're not a person, but you do have a person, because the person was created for you. Now, you can use it and dip in and out the public and the private. We've shown you a couple of videos on how to do that, okay? But you are definitely not the person, but you can use the person, okay? So here's on the sides. I think the next page has got slightly mixed up. So on lowercase, written my name, lowercase. I wouldn't even use Wilson. I'm just showing you it as an example against that, all right? And then you've got the full capitals. When you have a name written in full capitals, or any word written in full capitals, it can only be an acronym. It doesn't make sense in the English language. There is nowhere in grammar that can correctly have anything with full capitals in the whole world. Word in the whole word, right? They can't do it. So, but they put it on there, it can only be an acronym, like bog off, buy one, get one free, that type of thing. So under here, so you've got all lowercase on there, right, is a man, whereas you've got the full capitals, it's a person. So what are we under? If it's the lowercase, then it's the Creator. If it's the full capitals, then you're underneath the government, right? What I'm doing there is, as a man, I'm following the law. As a person, you're going to follow the civil rules, right? As a man, I'm going to be like in the natural, whereas if I'm a person, then it's fictional. Okay, so really, as a man, it's real because I'm alive. Whereas if it's a person, it can only be on paper. It's fictional. It's 2D. Okay. All right. Okay, then. So these are actually on the opposite side. So I've swapped them over. Right. So this side here is the private. That side there is the public. So if we're in the private, we're talking about lawful, we're talking about man and woman, all right? Whereas if it's in the public, we're talking about legal, not lawful, and it can't be a man or a woman, it's a person, all right? So you're looking at we're a man or a woman, okay? Whereas on the other side, it's the Monopoly hat. Now, you can all play at the Monopoly, though. We can use these things, okay? We can use them and dip in and out of the private. That's why we have the private trust creation. That's why we have the private members associations, the PMAs. Okay, so all right, 2 seconds. Oh. Hang on. Where does that go? Hang on, will I get that? Okay. All right. What I can't be bothered with is people coming in and causing grief and hassle and trouble. So I'm just going to block people. Okay, so we'll block people when they come in and cause a problem. We don't need people like that on there. Adios, amigo. All right. So let's get back to it then. How are you all doing? So what we're going to do is we're going to rebut the presumptions. We're not going to allow them to like presume we are a person. So we're going to be a man or a woman. We only look to the Creator. That's what we are. So we're going to establish our law. It's going to be our law, right? Law common to I. So when people talk about common law, this is how they end up getting themselves into a little bit of trouble, okay? Right? When they say, "Oh, I live under common law. I live under common law," and common law is not do no harm. That is not common law. That is not how it is be seen. That is natural law. That is the law of the Creator, the law of God. Cause no harm, do no harm. All right? That is natural law. Common law, whether this is the language that we're talking and how people get trapped, okay, that is made by judges. It's case law and it's a precedent. Okay, so when you got to use these words, you have to be careful how you actually use them and how you put them out there. All right, so when they're saying common law, what they mean is the law that's made by the judge's decisions in the high courts, the top courts. So and that sets the precedent. So once that's set, then what happens is like the other judges must follow what this judge said in the high court. So you'll have like Lord Chief Justice, and the lower judges all have to do what he said. That is common law. That is case law. Okay. So we just got to watch your words. When you're saying, "Oh, I'm living under common law," you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Words. Watch your words. Watch what you're saying. All right. Because it is all witchcraft. I said that before. Okay. Words are spells. We are spelling. Yes. Okay. So words, we've just got to move the S to the front of it and it becomes a sword. So you actually have a sword there. So the words that you're actually using, everyone's saying, "Oh, I'm awake." Right? What does that mean? Awake. Well, you only go to awake at a funeral, don't you? So you have to be careful what you're saying. I don't want to be in funerals. So I don't want to be in awake. And when you're coming in saying good morning, I'm going out with the dogs first thing in the morning, going out there, all right? And I'm bumping into one, and they're all saying this to me, which I never repeat back. It says, hi, how are you doing? I never say that because the mourning the dead. That's what you're doing. You're mourning. They never used to say this. If you watch the old-fashioned films, the black and white films, they always used to say that. Good day, sir. Good day to you. Watch the black and white films. Watch the old ones. They never used to say that. This is a modern thing, okay? So hell, when you're saying hello, you're actually casting them into hell. You're casting them into hell by your words. All this witchcraft that you're getting shown how to do, all right? So your occupation. What is an occupation? Well, an occupation is that's what the enemy does when it invades your country. It occupies your country, right? So it takes over your country. That is an occupation. So when you were occupied, right? You were occupied, okay, by the enemy. There is an enemy that's actually occupied you. So once you actually do this and you're at work and you're doing your work, you're doing your Monday through to Friday. I know it's a lot different now, but let's just like go with it. Okay. So then at the end of it, the Friday, then what do you come into? You come into what they call the end of the week, the weekend. All right. But what the meaning is that you're weakened. You're weakened by all of your occupation through the whole week. All right. So, you're occupied there, right? Coming up to the weekend because you're weakened by your whole occupation, working all week. All right. So then, let's look at the word itself anyway on the language. Hiya, David. You all right? Oh, don't worry about it. No, it's just the way it is. But it's like when they're coming in and being horrible to other people and that, can't be bothered with them. A lot of people coming on and want to enjoy the evening, so I don't want them spoiling it for everyone else. Just get rid of them, just block them. Nothing bothers me. All right, so we're looking at language, okay? Now, I watched this fantastic video. I can't even remember who it was by, but I do remember when I was like making notes on it and everything, the language, okay? So we've got lang itself. I'm sure I've got this correct. You can tell me later if it's wrong, if it's switched around. But I'm sure that means the noble ones. And Gu, that was actually an ancient god of war, Gu. Okay, I think it might be like either Asian or Middle Eastern, but it was a god of war. And age obviously is eons, right? We know what that means. Okay, so the word itself, language, when we break it down with the etymology, it means a god of war watches over the noble ones through the ages. Okay, so very clever, very clever. And this is what we're doing. We're using language. Okay, so let's go back onto that. So why we're actually doing that with the actual the name and tricking us with the name. They need us to be thinking that we are that person, because then we can get controlled by having the person running for the money, which is what this occupation is, what all of the work is, and then paying the tax. It's all just a banking fraud, which is why you want to be getting a hold of that book there. Okay, there it is. Fruit from a Poisonous Tree by, where's his name again? Malaine Stamper. All right. Now, he's American, and it's an American book. But like I said at the beginning, everything that's happening in America it's all going there from London. It's from the city of London, from the cabal. Right. So there's that book there. So, have a look at it. I don't know, go on Amazon, I suppose, or wherever it is you want to try and find it. I haven't got any links to it or anything like that. I'm just telling you it's a good book. Okay. All right. So we are all controlled by the illusion of money. The illusion of money. So hopefully you're getting to the fact of getting this, that that money isn't real. So we have no money. It's all fraud by the banksters. All right. Hi Teresa, how are you doing? All right. So the central banks, they are all owned by a private family. All right. Owned corporations. The Bank of England. It's not English. Okay. The Federal Reserve. It's not federal. Right, and in a lot of these banks, when you tell them who's the bank in your country, and they always say the Reserve Bank of Canada, Reserve Bank of Australia, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, because it's all the Reserve Bank. It's all owned by that one group of families. Now, there is people above them that own them as well, by the way. So if you've ever heard, I've spoken about like the 13 families and the names, like the Orsini, right, the Colonna, all of them above there. But like the face of it, what we see is the Rothschild family that own these banks, and they do own all of these banks. Okay, all right, but and that's what they call them, the Reserve Banks. But like I say, these names above the Rothschilds and above the Rockefellers, okay, like the Orsinis and the Colonnas and the Breakspears. These are the names you want to really be looking at. The Pesos. Go and Google some of the, you'll never get on Google, but go and do some research on those names, all right? So then, in England, right, we're going back onto how they actually set the money up on that. Let's do that. Yeah, hi there. Well, I haven't got my glasses. All right, okay. Nina, how are you doing? All right, so the England Commonwealth, we have the Bills of Exchange Act 1882. And in the USA, they had the Federal Reserve Act 1913. Okay, so it's all tied together. Now, all of this here, right, all very close. So we've got to think about the different things that were happening around there. Like 1912, there was a ship sailing across, got sunk by something, didn't it? Who was on there that they didn't want to come back to stop the Federal Reserve Act going ahead? The Federal Reserve Act was passed something like, I don't know, it was either the 23rd, 24th, or 25th of December. There was nobody even in the Senate when they did it, or the Congress, or wherever they did it. Okay? So they passed that Federal Reserve Act, which made everything go to the fiat currency, which put the Federal Reserve Act in. So now the Federal Reserve Bank is in charge of everything financially. All right? So we've got the Bank of England is in charge of everything. In 1913, England stopped trading gold. So you weren't allowed to trade gold abroad. And what they said was that it was because of World War I. Oh, we'll have to look after our own gold. So we're going to keep it. We're going to keep all the gold. We're not going to let anybody trade it or let any of the foreign enemies have it, you know. At the same time, well, let's go down and I'll explain. So in 1931, England suspended the gold standard in 1931. England suspended the gold standard that means that the gold was tied to the pound. They took it away, or suspended it anyway, in 1931. The USA did exactly the same in 1933. They suspended the gold standard, all right? And it was illegal to hold any gold. So the public weren't allowed to have gold unless it was a little bit of jewelry, all right? So they actually suspended it and then said it was illegal. And, like, you know, this here, you know, it was absolutely criminal what they did, okay? And they used to go around and taking everyone's gold from them, all right? So when they suspended it in 1933, and they were like pulling it back all the time. 1971, I know there's different sort of like countries on here, but this is talking about England, right? England and the USA completely abandoned the gold standard in 1971. Everything went to the fiat currency in 1971. Completely fake, fraudulent currency. Then, okay, in 1971, I can remember this. I don't know if everyone's old enough to do that. We used to have a tuppence. We used to have a threepence. That's what the coins that you would have. You used to have what they called a shilling. We would call it a bob. So you had a 50 pence would be 10 bob. All right. But like in 1971, England changed it from pounds, shillings, and pence to the decimalisation. You used to have 12 pennies, right? But now, right, they've turned it into decimalisation, everything in the tens. At the same time as they got rid of the gold standard. This is not a coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence. So they're changing it all there. So fiat currency, everything is now run by a fiat currency, okay? And if you look at Black's Law's dictionary, fiat currency means fake. It's all pretend, it's fake, okay? So this is not the only fiat currency there's ever been. There's been a lot of different fiat currencies that have like been before then, and all of them returned to their real value, which if you look at Black's Law's dictionary, when it says it's fake, the real value is that big round number, okay? The 10 bob, you used to get 10 bob. You used to go there for like used to get on the bus for tuppence. I remember, like, you know, getting on the bus and had a tuppence, or even the pennies were huge, weren't they? Like big, massive big pennies, this big, you know. And then you used to have the tuppences that you would get on the bus for, go and pay the bus driver. In them days, like, you know, you were really, really rich. You used to get like a sixpence, right, which was half a bob. So you used to get the little sixpence, little silver sixpence. Okay, so talking about again the fiat currency, okay, and the gold. So gold itself, if you were using gold, this is why we want to get into more bullion ourselves, gold and silver. It carries no interest. There is no interest that's in the gold and silver. The central banks cannot put usury onto gold, okay? Now, what they do is the central banks, CB, central banks, they issue fiat currency to governments. This is the crazy thing. They actually issue fiat currency to governments at interest. So literally every government, or virtually every government in the world now, right, borrows fiat currency from the central banks with interest straight away. And that interest, literally, they've borrowed the money. They can never, ever be paid back, ever. Okay? So we, the man, the woman, we are actually collateral to the central banks, right? And that's why we're paying the interest on the loan, but it can never, ever, ever be repaid. It's just a giant Ponzi scheme. That's all it is. Okay? So the more this is how you actually get this inflation stuff. Right, loads of people ask, well, why have we got inflation? Why does it cost more than it did cost last time? It's all fake. It's all just made up. All right, and I'm not talking about like the madness that they're doing with the fuel and everything now. They're just doing that literally as a complete and utter scam to make everybody miserable. Right, it's got nothing to do with this. This is an extra on top. But inflation is the more fiat currency they pump out, right, then the less that pound coin or pound note or dollar will buy. Okay, so then that is pushing up the actual inflation, which means that your money's getting valueless because it is going to return. The fiat currency will drop down to zero. Okay, now I think they're actually doing it really, really fast and really on purpose so that they can crash it all together. They knew it was always going to happen. They just didn't know when. Now I think they're trying to think, well, we know it's now. We may as well just make everything crash. Okay. And then they're going to put this digital currency in that they're talking about. Now, when they're saying digital currency, right, I'm not saying that, you know, it's I don't know anything about crypto. You can't ask me any questions. I know nothing. I need to get, like, I'm talking to someone else who's hopefully going to help me to get involved in it. It took me 2 weeks just to go and buy a little bit of Bitcoin, and I, you know, not a Bitcoin, tiny little bit, and I still don't know what to do with it. So, you know, so hopefully someone's going to help me. But I'm saying is, what you'd want to do is to get into the private side of the cryptocurrency, rather than getting into this digital currency that the governments are going to be issuing. Because once the governments are issuing that, then they are going to control every single thing you ever do. You will have no privacy and you will have no freedom whatsoever. That is the cashless society that they're actually trying to create. Okay, so you have to be very careful how we end up doing this. That's why I'm saying, like, if you've got any spare money, get gold, get silver. If you can do this thing, find out. I mean, I know nothing about it. I can't advise anyone. I know literally nothing about crypto, but I'm going to go out my way and I'm going to find out a bit more so I can hopefully get involved in it. Stay away from a government-issued digital currency. Get into the private side of the blockchain, which is how they do this this cryptocurrency. That's the only bit I do know. I don't know what any of that really means. All right, so you can't quote me on anything there, but I'm going to make sure I find out, and you should be doing the same. Okay, so when we're talking about privacy, all right, we're talking about the putting yourself in the private, declaring yourself like a man or a woman, but then also the making sure that you get everything set up in a private trust, so that you're protecting your assets from these filth and scum and these banksters that are trying to steal everything. And then find out more about, like, the privacy side on the blockchain. Okay, but you know, I don't know enough about it yet to actually. I actually did a course on the blockchain. And when I had finished the course on the blockchain, I think I was more confused than I was at the beginning. Shit, that might have just been me. But you know, we do need to find out more about it, because a lot of what they're saying. I was listening to somebody called the Dollar Vigilante and the Crypto Vigilante, or something like that. I've started listening to them, and I'm trying to pick up on how to learn how to do this. Everyone needs to try and do more to protect themselves. That's why we need to get more in the private trusts, and then start getting more, learning how to grow your own food, knowing how to do foraging for food as well. Because we cannot, right? We cannot be relying on governments or handouts or anything to do with like, what do you call them, supermarkets, or all this poisoned food that they're pouring out at us, because it's all crap, isn't it? You know. But anyway, let's go back. Totally carried away with that there. So fractional reserve banking. This is the fractional reserve banking. That's what the banksters actually set up through this scam that they've done. So, right, the banksters, they do not lend any money to you. Hopefully, you know, what you were listening to over the last few months, you'll be getting that now anyway. So your loan that you think you've got, or your mortgage, it's actually a financial instrument that you've signed. You haven't applied for a mortgage. It's not a mortgage application, right? It's a financial instrument, okay? And what they do on the financial instrument is they sell that on the securities exchange, right? I'm going to show you how it works. But I was talking to a lady. I'm trying to help her with her mortgage, trying to get rid of the mortgage for her, okay? And when I was reading on the small print, and it said on the small print on her mortgage, now that you've signed it, you've consented forevermore. We don't need your consent ever again, that we can securitize this financial instrument whenever we want. But if you read that, you wouldn't even know what that meant. Securitize this financial instrument. What the hell does that actually mean? Right? In reality, what it means is it's a financial instrument that you've signed, and you've given them power of attorney so they can sell it on the stock exchange as often as they like. So what happens is that book that I was telling you about, the first one, which was like the Banker's Guide by Thomas Schaff, Thomas Schaff. I don't think it's got an E, but you can like search for him anyway. All right. And he was giving you the questions to actually go out and challenge these mortgages, challenge these loans to actually prove that they did not have any, and they had never given you any money. Okay. All right. So because they do it, the fractional reserve banking, they do it with the financial instruments and sell them. They sell it on, it says there, they sell it on the stock exchange. And then what they do is they pass it back to you. You sign the agreement, but then they sell it on the stock exchange because it's a financial instrument. All right. And then and then they ask you to repay, not pay, repay, because it's already been paid. So you're doing it twice. All right. And they want you to pay interest on it as well. Okay. So I tell you what, if anyone does know anything about crypto, you can tell me, you can help me, because I sat there with, I can't remember, it wasn't a lot of money, a couple of $100 or something. It sat there for ages trying to figure out, well, how is it you actually move it and buy this crypto stuff then? How do you do it over to there? And it was on one of the, what's it called? Binance. Okay. Couldn't get on the one called Coinbase wouldn't let me on at all. Tried loads of times. All right. Anyway, back to the story. Okay. So that you loan a mortgage, your sign of nature you've put on it, or on the agreement, if it's not like the mortgage, your sign of nature creates the value. Okay. But you are tricked into allowing them to put a charge on your home with the land registry. So if we look here, look at the fantastic artwork. Look. That is a house. Isn't that brilliant? Look how good that artwork is there. So what happens is, if that's your home and you've got a mortgage on there, you have a charge that says first charge. This is first in, it says there, first in line. So I've drawn a line there to actually show it towards the home. So if you actually get a mortgage company, MC mortgage company, they go first in line. So they get the money, all right? They get the money. Okay, before anyone sees anything. All right. And then you're here. There's you. That's you get put on the title. But they're always going to be in front. Okay. Yeah. Do you know what? I should do that dime bar. Yeah. That would be good. Got to get something going. All right. So the negotiable financial instrument. It is a trust agreement. I'm going to show you how it works on here. Trust agreement. So what we do is when we sign it, we are the settler. Okay. The settler means the creator. So when you're doing a trust, right, and you set up a trust, you are the creator or the settlor of the trust. Okay. So we sign it as the settler. Then what happens is we've created a financial instrument and it's now an asset. It's a trust asset because we've created the trust. Right, so what they do with the trust asset is they pass it on and they securitize it or sell it, right, on the securities exchange. So if you've got a £200,000 mortgage, they're going to sell it for £200,000, and then when they've sold it for £2,100, then they put the funds, they deposit into your account. So it looks as if you've been given money, but you created that money. But it looks like in your mind, oh well, I've just borrowed some. There it is there. Magical money in there. So then after that, after it's been deposited there, then you pay the principal, which is the 200,000 plus the interest. All right. Now you can challenge it. You need to challenge their fraud that they're doing. So that's what I was saying before. And looking at that Thomas Schaff book, I don't know if there's any in this book. I don't know. I haven't finished it. But on the Thomas Schaff one, they're actually telling you the questions that you need to ask. And they've got lots of people who actually did it and won and closed down the mortgages. Okay. A lot of people, once they actually started winning, though, they changed the rules. So you've got to watch these civil procedure rules because they try to hide behind everything. Like they would, wouldn't it? Okay. All right. So what we do is I've got some questions here that I've actually got a mixture of them. Some of them I've actually got from Thomas Schaff's book there. Some of them have actually had a look on the DSOs that I do, and also on Michael Obanisia's mortgage lien. right? So he uses that one as well. So that's his, and you can look at it. It's like mortgage fraud. If you look at his websites, he's got it on there as well. Not like this, but similar to this, and you can pick bits and bobs off. So every single notice that you're going to send, if you want to challenge your mortgage or your loan, whatever it is you want to do, it's always going to start off notice to agent, notice to principal, notice to principal, notice to agent, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We serve notice that we conditionally accept the alleged debt. However, we require the following items. We require the following information. All right. Number one, the original mortgage contract signed by both parties, including all negotiated terms and conditions pursuant to Section 2 of the Law of Property Act 1989, miscellaneous provisions. Now, they can't give you this because they've sold it. All right? They've sold it. Okay? All right, I'll have a look at them comments later. I'll check all this stuff you're putting out. Thank you very much for all of that, by the way. I will check it all out about this crypto stuff. All right? I'm helping you. You're helping me. It's brilliant. Okay? I need to find out more about it. Well, that's number one. Now, they've sold that, but we're asking them to do it. This is how you challenge it. And if they can't supply the information you want, this is how we can ask them to shut it down, you see. All right? That's how we can ask them to shut it down. And that's why on that book with, what do you call it, Thomas Schaff, that's how he actually got it shut, you see. That's amazing, isn't it? So this is like some of the questions that we asked. Number two. All bookkeeping, can't say that, all bookkeeping entries associated with the alleged loan. And you're asking that because you want to know where the money came from, and they can't show you. Okay? Number three, the original mortgage deed tied to the alleged loan pursuant to Section 1 of the Law of Property Act 1989. Number four, the insurance policy tied to the promissory note for the alleged loan. Promissory note. You signed the promissory note. Just remember that. So they always have an insurance policy with it, because if you don't repay it, they'll cash in the insurance policy, so they'll get the money again. They've already got the money, and they keep on selling it, keep on securitizing it. And if you don't pay it, they've got an insurance policy. How insane is that? Okay, so number five, the deposit slip tied to the promissory note for the alleged loan. The deposit slip, because literally, when you sign that form, they actually do a deposit into their bank. They put it into their bank. Your money you've created, they put it into their bank before they sell it and then return it to you. All right. Look at these books that I'm showing you as well. I mean, I've known this for years, but if you look at these books, and that will help you understand all of it. Okay. Number six, the authorization for the withdrawal of the promissory note. Who authorized them to take your money out once you've deposited that promissory note in there? The account number, this is a good one, the account number from where the funds were withdrawn before deposited into our account. So where was that money before you gave it to me? Did you actually have the money before you give it to me? Because they didn't. That's the good thing, okay? Well, it's not a good thing, but that's the good thing where we can try and trap them. Right? Verification that according to your bookkeeping entries, that we are the depositor of the promissory note, therefore the creditor of the principal amount. So we deposited it. So we can only be the depositor. So we can only be the creditor, not the debtor. It's not possible. Okay? Now, obviously, this is going to all be recorded, so you can go back and look at these all again. All right? Now, I had to change, I ran out of ink. Okay, has full disclosure been provided by you of the bookkeeping entries, which would show that we provide the actual funding, okay, of the alleged loan? All right, that's number 9. Number 10, name and address of current holder in due course. The holder in due course is the person that actually has the promissory note, that's bought it and they're passing it on. So very important. We need to know who's the holder in due course, okay? Whoa, getting a dry throat. All right. Number 11, name and address of your chartered accountant for the period covering the alleged loan. Okay. And the last one, number 12, is it not now evident that you have violated GAAP? GAAP means generally accepted accountability principles, accounting principles. Okay, thus making the agreement or the contract null and void. Now, what you do is you put them questions there in a DSOR, data subject access request. So you just use those questions, all right, and you just put them into like what they call the DSOR, like that. Start it as how I showed you how to start it, you know, principal and, you know, agent and all of that. And then you write it out like that, which is it's all finished. And then you can go and challenge the mortgages, all right, or the loans and everything directly on the point. Now, what I would say is, hang on, let's move this slightly. What I would say is, right, that hang on, put this down there now. All right. So if you were doing it to either a mortgage or a loan, definitely when you're doing it to a mortgage, stay in honor. Okay. What they call, hang on, put that pen there. Keep clean hands by keep paying the amount. Don't stop paying, right? Especially if it's a mortgage, because they're going to try and repossess. They're going to try and put you into trouble straight away. Keep an eye, keep clean hands by keeping up the payments, right? But when you're actually keeping up the payments, then challenge them. Now, the name of the guy, like I said, you get yourself like more education on it. Thomas Schaff, and he's got that book. I'll go back and I'll get the proper name. Where was it? Was it over here? Was it? Yes, it was. And it is called Top Secret Banker's Manual. And it's got for bankers only. This manual is designed for the bank presidents and vice presidents only. Do not allow lower level bank employees to review. Okay. And it's got secret loan agreement, court and UCC secrets, how bankers can quickly double investment money, methods for controlling the media, politicians, and judges. How nice. Okay. So, read more up on that book there. Which is just an online book. So I don't know how you would get it. I really don't. I can't remember how I found it now, right? But you can look for that. And then this one, Fruit from a Poisonous Tree. That one there, I just actually bought in a bookstore. So someone was reading it, and I think it was Anne who told me about it. So I had a search for it on there. So it just backs up that book there, backs up everything that I know anyway. So, and it helps me help you. So pass it on. It solidifies the knowledge that I've already got. All right. So, aching. But yeah, for certain, the way that we've actually got this set up there, everything has to start turning out to be more and more private as much as you can. Whereas they're stripping our privacy all the time by the phones, even with your cards, yeah? Which, if you think about it, which is the nonsense that they were going over when you're doing your card payments, all right? Look, I've got a nice funny coloured one. It's got nothing written on it. It says, it's got my name on. Full capitals. And they're saying do everything with card payments because they're scared to death of getting any diseases from cash, and they won't handle cash. That's just about controlling everything, absolutely controlling everything. So we need to step back and get more into the private. That's why I'm saying learn more about blockchain, start investing more in the gold and the silver. It's easier to buy silver because you get a lot more for your money. And I'll watch a guy called Mike Maloney. Mike Maloney really goes on about the gold and the silver and the bullion and about the investments and everything. So I recommend him. I've been watching him for a few years on his channel. So get more into sort of like getting away from relying on banks. Try and use banks as little as possible. Try and use shops as little as possible. Do you know that? So we're growing loads of stuff in the garden now. We even got like these big Hessian sacks like this, and inside the Hessian sacks are actually growing potatoes, potatoes and onions, big Hessian sacks. It's brilliant. And then, you can reuse them, then just empty it out the next year, and you don't have to just have we're going to have them right along a path, on a pavement, concrete. So you don't have to worry you haven't got a massive garden. But everybody needs to be getting much more into independence, privacy and independence. Okay. Make sure that you get everything in the private, put your assets in the private trust. Okay. Hide everything as much as you possibly can. Learn more about the crypto so you can get involved in that. And on the secret side, Mike Maloney. Yeah. Mike Maloney's good on the gold and the silver and everything. I've been watching him for years. And look at investing. You don't have to go and say, I need a couple of £1,000 to invest. Just every now and again, when you've got like a little bit spare cash, and go and buy. I like buying silver coins. I don't really know why, but I know you can get half an ounce of silver in a coin as well as. And I just think when it comes to a time, because everything, we're going to have to separate from this society, this legal society that they have. And when we separate from the legal society, we need to have parallel systems that we can run alongside theirs. I was down at meetings and meeting with people, and they're actually setting up massive garden projects where everyone can grow their own food. So everyone needs to start to look at growing your own food. So when I was a kid, right, used to have what they call Blackberry Week. All right. Hopefully some people will remember that. Now on Blackberry Week, right, I think it was end of September, maybe October. And everything, like was like railway lines and fields and everything was covered in blackberry bushes. You could go out and spend hours picking blackberries, and then everything was blackberry pie, blackberry tart, blackberry jam. Your parents and your grandparents are all making everything with blackberry, and they picked them for free out in the fields. I can't find any now. I can't find any anywhere. I found a tiny little bit up at where we used to live in the country, like a little bit further into the country, away from the coast. Now I'm right on the sea, right on the coast. I just can't find any, I used to love everyone like wild blackberry picking. And you used to go out Blackberry Week, and you had a week of school. They might call it something different now, but then everybody went out and picked all the blackberries. It was brilliant, But in reality, when you're driving along and you go to we're passing the woods and there's like lines and lines of trees, why aren't those trees fruit trees? Why aren't they apple trees and pear trees? The stuff that would grow in this country or whatever country you're in, where you could just go and pick the fruit and eat it, because it's free. I know why, but I mean, that's how it should be. But they're trying to stop any kind of food whatsoever, so that it's all got to go into a supermarket to buy stuff, and then they control the food supply as well as the banking supply, the money supply, and everything. All right. Like someone was making a joke about like having to pay for oxygen, pay for air. But I tell you what, think carefully about what you're saying, because you used to make jokes about having to pay for water. Now everyone has to pay for water, and it's poisoned. It's disgusting, and you still got to pay for it. Right, it comes out, it falls out of the sky, right? And then, right, when it falls out of the sky, they want you to pay for it, and then they poison it before they'll actually let you get it. So now, when I was driving down to what do you call it, Birmingham, and I was driving along, and it said you can't go this way because it's I can't remember what, but it was about you couldn't drive down because of the air. When you drive down in your car. Because and you would pay a fine, right, if you went through this area, with like your car. So you were actually having to, and that, in a way, you're paying for the air, in a way, aren't you? So they're actually just taxing everything. It's absolutely insanity. So let me have a look. Yeah, purple fingers for days. The Blackberry Week, Blackberry pie. Hey, man, low emission zones. Yeah, I ended up in there, and I was like, I've never seen, because I'm living on right next to the beach, and like there's nothing around me, So, but yeah, I just couldn't believe it. It was just absolutely crazy, man, crazy. And it's just all about control. They just try to control every single aspect of everything, and they want to put us all more and more and more under. That's why we have to break free. So we need to be growing a lot more of our own food, a lot more of our own fruit, like potatoes and everything like that. And, you know, I've got a few, I had a couple more like apple trees in the garden. They're only little ones just growing in the winter, and the fence blew down and smashed them. It was gutted, but never mind. Start again, you know. But that's what we should all be looking to do: grow more food, and then getting away from anything that's got government control. You know, everyone's talking about like going out and getting land. I don't know. Obviously, you need money to go and do that thing, but you know, grow as much food. Mushrooms, you know, they're actually extremely nutritious, and apparently you can grow them like kind of indoors. So, say if you had a garage or something like that, and you can grow and they grow quickly as well. So you can grow them and grow them. It's not like, say, for instance, if you're growing potatoes, which we've got some, right, but we can't get them until I think it's August, September. But then once you've got them, then you've got to wait till next August and September, you know. Crab apples, oh yeah, yeah, that's it. You've got to grow stuff, grow everything in your own garden, potatoes and tomatoes. Yeah, we've got them all growing in our garden now as well. Got like lines of like vegetable, everything, trying my best to actually get away, you know. Yeah, yes, right, Bob. You know, I tell you what it is. A lot of kids think that's where would you get like you know, whatever it would be from, and they say the supermarket. Where'd you get like apples from? The supermarket. Well, you know, and that's what they think, Bob. You're totally 100% right. You know, they don't realize that they actually go and grow on trees outside. They're grown in big bays in the dark. Yeah, that's what I heard as well. I've been meaning to go. We're actually growing in the garage, which is dark, what's called a lion's mane mushroom. It's a great big thing like that, and it's getting bigger by the day. I'm going to have to, like, what, I don't know what you call it, harvest it, is it? Cut it off, and then what you do is it's in a big mound of compost, I suppose. It's about this big, like the mound of compost, and it grows. You get in a bag and you poke holes in it, and then they grow out like that. It looks weird. It looks really weird. So I don't know, but I will eat it. I will try it. I've got to. Apparently, I think what do they call it? Something like either the lobster of the forest or something like that. And so when you cut it, and then you can like eat it, and it tastes apparently like either I don't really like lobster. I don't think. I only had it once, and that was about 40 years ago. But it's like something like a good texture like that. But it's very, very healthy and very good for you. This has took about 4 weeks to grow. It's got a big. It's coming out like that, big, huge one at the side and a little one on the other side. But you know, if you can actually get them bays, what do they call that guy said? Mushroom bays. A big bays, and grow them in the dark. So you can and they grow quick, and you can actually, you know, eat a lot of mushrooms, and they're very good for you and filling. Yeah. So hopefully, you know, you've enjoyed tonight. I just thought I'd give it a little bit different again. Lion's mane, all right, good for Alzheimer's. Yeah, well, it is. Somebody said it's good for the brain and that. You know, lion's mane mushrooms. It's very weird looking. It's like all furry and like a lion's mane. Yeah. But I will eat it. I've said I've grown it, so I may as well eat it. Yeah, we're all going off now anyway. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Nick. Absolutely excellent. Chaga mushrooms are good as well. Yeah, I'm going to look into them all. Yeah, there's someone else there. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, that's what you need to do. Everyone needs to be like helping each other as well, looking after each other as well, raising up our vibration with like love and happiness, and bringing it up there, because we need to lift up the vibration of the nation, of the world, of the planet. And then obviously mushrooms on toast. Oh, I love that. Oh yeah. Yeah, could do that. Some of that for now. I couldn't cut the lion's mane one up though. I think I'll have to wait till we're going to have some kind of like proper meal when we do that. I wouldn't, if I went and cut it off and edit now, I think Janine would kill me. After all them weeks of growing it, and I just walk in and eat it. All right, so we're going to shoot then, peoples. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you got good information. I want to keep jumping backwards and forwards over it. Good stuff, like, you know, what we're telling you and everything, as well as a little bit chit chat and that. So hopefully you enjoyed it, you know. Oh, magic mushrooms. Got to be careful though. I've never actually had one. I must admit, I've never even tried drugs. So I don't think, I think I'm too old to start now. So I think I'll give that one a miss. All right. So anyway, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. So have a good Saturday. Have a good Sunday. Yeah, we'll be on Sunday. I mean, obviously there is a few members in here. On Sunday, 4:30, we're going to do the webinar for the members only webinar, and it's going to go deep diving onto trust creation. I've got a lot of new paperwork for you that I've just like been creating ready for it. And you know, go really into it. So 4:30 on Sunday. If you're in the members, it's gonna like make sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a trust right with you. Okay, so you can actually copy it and create it as we're actually going along on that Sunday afternoon. All right. So anyway, if you are a member, see you on the Sunday. If not, we'll see you next Friday. Maybe everyone, lots of love and take care. Have a great evening on there. All right. Have a great Saturday, a great Sunday. I don't want to say the word that I told you on there, the week with the end. We don't want to be doing that. All right. Excellent. Good. Take care, everyone. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. And God bless. Okay. Creator bless. All right. Enjoy. I'll say hello to Janine. She's upstairs talking to our friend in Hawaii. So she'll be finished soon as well. Okay. Take care. All right. See you later.